In the 7th and 8th centuries, the Tang Dynasty was a global hyperpower. They commanded a massive share of the world's wealth and produced a culture so sophisticated it left behind artifacts like this Sanchai glazed horse. Their capital city was a hub of international trade. Safe, heavily guarded silk road routes drew foreign merchants and diplomats from across Central Asia, creating a diverse, deeply cosmopolitan society. Then, in the mid-8th century, that golden age shattered. The An Lushan rebellion triggered a civil war that nearly wiped the empire off the map. History often pins the blame for this devastation entirely on the ambition of a single general. But looking closer at the empire's internal records reveals that the rebellion was only the final symptom of a structural failure that had been developing for decades. This diagram represents the equal field system, the economic engine that built the Tang's initial strength. The imperial state owned the farming land and distributed specific plots directly to independent, free peasants. In exchange for that land, those farmers owed the state two things: taxes paid in grain, and part-time service in a rotating citizen militia known as the Fubing. This loop provided the government with an enormous reserve of soldiers spread throughout the provinces. They had domestic security on demand without the financial drain of maintaining a standing army. The Tang military achieved its early dominance because of this social contract. The emperor provided the livelihood, and the working class provided the defense. Over the next century, wealthy aristocrats began exploiting legal loopholes and using government corruption to buy up or illegally seize those state-allocated peasant plots. This map visualization shows the demographic collapse. State land rapidly shrank as aristocratic estates expanded. Millions were reduced to landless laborers. This triggered a legal loophole. Since the Fubing militia was tied to land grants, these displaced peasants were no longer legally obligated to serve. The Tang's domestic security evaporated from within. By allowing inequality to cannibalize its own recruitment base, the state effectively defunded its military long before an enemy army ever approached the capital. While the interior crumbled, the empire's borders were expanding into unforgiving terrain. Out on the western frontier, the Tang faced massive geopolitical threats from the rising Tibetan Empire and the Arab caliphates. The remnants of the part-time agrarian militia were unequipped. Part-time farmers simply could not fight grinding, multi-year campaigns thousands of miles from their homes. Facing vanishing militias and hostile borders, Emperor Xuanzang established the mùbīngzhì, a massive, professional-standing mercenary army. Replacing a citizen militia with professional soldiers seemed like a necessary upgrade. But the shift severed the systemic loyalty that bound the individual soldier directly to the state. To manage these remote professional armies, the state created military governors known as the Jiedushi. These commanders were granted absolute, unchecked authority over their troops to ensure they could respond quickly to border threats. Look at this map of the empire's troop distribution. Heavy military concentrations ring the outer borders, while the capital in the center sits entirely defenseless, stripped of its own domestic peasant army. The Tang center had outsourced its defense to the periphery, but in doing so, they had handed absolute control over the empire's only remaining military force to ambitious frontier generals like An Lushan. In 755, General An Lushan turned his massive professional army inward and marched straight toward the Tang capital. With no central military to counter him, the capital fell with ease. The ensuing civil war shattered the Tang Golden Age and plunged the nation into years of warfare. The Tang Dynasty only technically survived the rebellion. To defeat An Lushan, the weakened empire was forced to hire foreign mercenaries, specifically the Uyghurs, to save them. To stop the professional army they had built to protect their borders, the central government was forced to pay foreign horsemen to invade their own country and do the fighting for them. Blaming the fall of the Tang Golden Age entirely on one general ignores the cause of the crisis. The true trigger of the collapse was the state's failure to protect the equal field system from land consolidation. The loss of the peasant's land meant the loss of the citizen soldier, forcing the state into its reliance on autonomous mercenaries. A state that allows its elite to cannibalize the livelihoods of its working class eventually finds itself defenseless. When the Tang allowed their internal economy to fail, they destroyed the very people who were required to protect the empire from its own